Hi, everybody. I'm Holly Myers. I'm from General Motors. Today, I wanted to talk to you about data. Data, data. We're all data geeks that are in this room. Sorry, but we are. We have in our automotive sector very different aspects of data that come together. We have vehicle-specific data, so your sensors, your control units, your diagnostic systems. Then we have everything that's non-vehicle data that is supported, and it comes from the business intelligence, the customer relationship management, workflows, all the other areas and whatnot. And data by itself may or may not carry meaning until you process it, analyze it, and interpret it within a specific context. Now, other people have already talked about this in this conference, which was quite amusing. And top-down management is one of the ones that we have been talking about at GM for quite a while. It's one thing you have vehicle requirements at a high level, so we can quickly define what a truck is, 4 doors, 6-foot bed. Those are easy, right? You can just whip those right off. And they serve as the foundation for what you're going to do downstream, engineering activities, design activities, component level requirements, and so on down the stream. Those are all good and dandy, but these are the ones that I like. These are the bottom-up data that's tidbits. They're all over the place. There's test logs, there's Joe's information, there's lessons learned, there's best practices, there's simulation results, there's warranty information, there's finance, there's quality information, there's manufacturing requirements, deviations, you name it. We've got tons of tidbits, right? So those tidbits are what I'm always looking for. And we know that they come in different formats. So there's people that have them local in those super secret spreadsheets that you're not allowed to see. There are emails, there are shared drives, there are team-specific tools. And then we all know it's a lot of fragmented knowledge. So it's siloed. Electrical has theirs, manufacturing has theirs, design has theirs, right? And most of it is very inconsistent when I see it come in. It's not integrated into an enterprise system, such as, a PLM system, because it doesn't really apply directly to those systems. We have lessons learned, workarounds, observations that people who've been an engineer or whatnot for the last, 20, 30 years have their own lessons that should be gathered, that knowledge, put into a K-Pack. So we don't lose it again. Why repeat history with lessons we already know? So knowledge management, I believe Jeff showed the same thing, is the methodology for systematically gathering, organizing, disseminating information. It essentially consists of process and tools to effectively capture and share data, as well as use the knowledge of individuals within the firm. So you've heard that before. We all know about that. But there's some paradoxes of the knowledge that are very interesting. Using knowledge does not consume it, but it does get obsolete. Transferring knowledge does not lose it, but market mechanisms allow ownership. Knowledge is abundant, but the ability to use it is scarce. Producing knowledge resists organization. Don't we all know that? Much of it walks out the door when people leave, when people change jobs. So how do you grab that information before you lose it? There's 2 types of knowledge that I see, and it resides in people's heads. One is explicit knowledge that they know. You can codify it, you can record it, you can actually see it. It might be in a book, periodical, map, photograph, audio record, whatever. Then you have tactic, which is your knowledge from experience. And this is the hardest one, in my opinion, to gather and to get into a good knowledge packet. It doesn't mean that any of that data is otherwise unusable or useful. It depends on how you assess it. So, quick poll question. Who has struggled to find the right data at the right time? Kind of figured that one. Who remembers these places? What's it doing? Oh, she's showing the poll. Okay. That was quick, 100%. All right, like it. Who remembers this person or this place? Come on. Okay, now get rid of the youngsters. They're not going to know what this is. So our librarian, right? Shh. When you went in there. And she always seemed to know exactly where everything was, didn't she? Who remembers these? Books? Come on, it's all digital, right? Card catalog? Oh yeah. I am a card catalog diva. That's how my brain thinks. I'm always putting things into card catalogs. So the second question was, who remembers the card catalog? So, all right. So we're on to the new century, and we have the digital data librarian, which any of you that have a KPAT or a COP, you manage it, you're a data librarian. You just didn't realize it. If you own multiple COPs, you're still a digital librarian for all that. You're going to manage, you're going to organize that data, you're going to ensure that data, and everybody has access to it, because otherwise they'll scream at you. You are much like that traditional librarian in that you're the one helping them put it into the system. The system is only as good as what you're putting in. This role is becoming more and more important, whether it be at a corporate level or a government level, because of the large volume of data that we have. And we need to look at it, we need to analyze it, we need to make decisions on it. Some of it's for compliance. All that is so important moving forward. Doesn't matter what system you're putting it into. So as an Auros digital data librarian, the biggest thing is being an architect, in my opinion. You need to talk to that group. You need to design what they want, the structure, what the environment needs to look like that's going to support their efficiency, their process, their reuse, their scalability. This includes their metadata standards. What do they want to know out of it? Organizing their knowledge models and aligning that library for all their workflows and systems that they have. Now, I believe you have to have a very close relationship with whoever that group is that you're working with, because you need that relationship to know and understand their knowledge objects, their lessons, their requirements, their decisions. This will ensure the traceability, version control, and your future growth. If you build on a bad foundation, don't expect the house to stand up. And just like any COP, it's only as good as what you plan and what your foundation is. Other key aspects are organizing. How many have had somebody come to you and say, here, I got all this data. Do something with it. And you have to figure out how to put that into the digital knowledge so it's searchable, reusable, and relevant for everybody. Well, that's a feat in itself. You got to maintain that digital data. So you got to make sure you can version it. You got to make sure that you can move it forward if there are major changes, obsolete it if it no longer becomes of use. You got to make sure it's accurate and consistent. But most of all, this is one I'm very passionate about. You need to protect your digital assets. People assume, I want a Google search. Well, guess what? In companies, you can't always have a Google search to go find whatever it is you need. And the reason why is some of that data might be protected for reasons. And that is forgotten a lot by leadership. So reminding them of protecting those digital assets is very important. Another key aspect is being the face of whatever system that you've put your data into. So in my case, it's Auros. I have to support the users. I've got to educate them. I've got to follow all the data policies and regulations. And sometimes that doesn't make people very happy. They get cranky, they stomp their feet, they demand things, and I still say, no, sorry. So the flower comes again. I love this flower the second I saw it. These are all the different items, the tidbits that I've talked about that go into this great model-based cognition. You still need to architect it. Auros helps you organize it, maintain it, support it, and follow procedures. You can lock down your COPs all the way down to a fixed list of people, which is so flexible and so wonderful. Being a data librarian is one of the hardest but most fulfilling tasks within an organization, if you're up for the challenge. Poll question 3. What do you see as the biggest barrier to building a cognition-driven environment in your company? Like a race. Looks like siloed data is going to win. Siloed data is one of the biggest, hardest concerns that we have within GM because everybody wants to function in their little area and nobody wants to share. Everybody goes, it's mine, 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 and off they run. But sharing that data is where we really get the benefits out of any system. So the digital data librarians, in my opinion, are the unsung heroes of what will be Auros' cognition model. They're going to be more important, but this is going to be overlooked because most management says, what value? What's the dollar sign? What am I going to get out of it? But if you don't capture data and you don't write it down and you don't put it somewhere, then it's lost. What good is it? History repeats, right? We just keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again because it's not written down. Without these digital data librarians that exist across all companies, none of the systems would be able to be connected. They'd all be disconnected and at risk. Data would be even more hard to find. And organizations today, they want to go fast. They want it clear. They want it right between the eyes when they get their data. Digital data librarians help to make smarter decisions, organize their data, reduce their risk, and keep digital operations running smoothly. So, congratulations to all. You're all digital data librarians, and you didn't know it. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Holly?
As your digital librarian role, do you utilize the Auros capabilities of managing your knowledge by vitality, or I guess do you work to improve your knowledge by utilizing the vitality components?
We're about to make a big jump at GM from a version 16 to version 22. And what I've seen in the product that we're about to put in place is going to be a game changer for GM. I can't wait till it gets in there, but more and more, all of the team from GM for Auros, they all are what makes the digital librarian such an important thing, because each one brings a very unique set. We have manufacturing, we have design, we have seats, we have peer reviews, we have Mr. Value Table. We have a lot of different unique people, and those unique people put together, when we get in a room, it's amazing the data and information that comes out on how we're going to organize it and how we're going to link it together, because everybody just feeds off of each other.
And I'm just going to add to what Holly's saying, because I've been working with Auros for a very long time, and very long. And for General Motors is a very large program or company, and so we are trying to connect. And I think this next move is going to really help us get there, because we're a little disorganized in some areas. Like, we do have very strong people. They're here today. So if you are in a small company, it's a little bit easier to manage, I'll say. So Holly's got her task here, this challenge that she's going to have. But I think we've always gone to Jeff. Jeff comes to us and says, what makes Auros great? And we always say that organic. So I'm glad to see organic finally made one of your slides. Because it's just so flexible and stuff. But because of the flexibility, it does need a couple little rules. So I like what you've put together, because I think that's exactly what we've found is we've sort of let it do it organically, but we want it organically with some boundaries and controls. So that's my suggestion for anyone that's adopting it or is in a small little, let's call it a seed, because that's what we like to use as the seed project, the small project. And then when you expand it, just make sure that there's some guidelines, some rules, some standards, so that you're consistent throughout your organization. So we now have to sort of try to fix that. And all these AI tools are going to be wonderful for us. So that's why we're so excited. But I just wanted to add that to the team in case anybody's wondering. But anyways, thanks.
I have a question. Your talk is data, data, data. And I'll be presenting later and have different thoughts from my community on data versus knowledge, right? And trying to really isolate what that means to us. So when you present data, it can get overwhelming because not all data is knowledge, right? It's a little bit, if it's structured, you could do some things with it. You can extract knowledge from it. Can you speak to how GM is moving towards more of an integrated digitally connected platform, and how Auros might be part of that?
We're trying to show leadership the value of Auros in taking the tidbits, the little pieces of data, and marrying it with that high-level vehicle requirements, and getting most of the people who are working on it with a daily basis, they get it. They get how it needs to be connected, but we don't always have clarity with management on knowing how the connections will occur and how important it is to have all that base data. So we are trying with the next version, the entire team, we're going to be pushing hard to show exactly how this all is interconnected and how the data really can flow and be very quick to the user and the entire environment, because we can have electrical requirements and manufacturing can be up front and they can be already talking. And so getting all those connections and getting out of the silo would be great.
Just for clarity, is Auros isolated and not connected to your PLM system, or is it?
We have some connections.
Some connections? Okay.
So I can talk on that portion of it. We do use Auros, and we have it connected to our PLM system. So we're able to take the information, and if it's done correctly in bits and pieces, and then read it directly into our math data, and then push that back to Auros where the assessments are done, and then we can analyze it and visualize it in the visualization system that we have as well. So it will leverage NX, Team Center, and Auros all together to come up with a synchronized and integrated solution. But as that poll suggested, the silos, that causes issues, yes. It's anarchy. Everyone wants to do it a different way, and their way is the correct way. And unless you have someone that's reeling all that in, it's problematic, because things have to be, in order for it to work, it has to be done a specific way. So, anyway.
Thanks, Daryl.
No other hands? Am I giving it back to Jeff?
This time it's just a question. So, Holly, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but to give the audience some idea of scale, do you know the unit of organic librarying and data collection is the community practice, the COP you mentioned. How many communities do you think you have at GM? So can I follow that question?
We have a total of about almost 40,000 users within GM now.
So my follow-up question, and I honestly, I do not know the answer to this. How do you guys decide, who gets to decide whether a new COP is going to get created? Is there a criteria? What's that look like? I mean, you got this far.
That would be me. They get tortured, they get taken outside. No. They have to really come with their business case, what their plan is, what they want to use it for. And most of the time they'll say, oh, I want to use it for this. They don't. They don't. You start asking questions, you find out, oh, I really want to do best practices in there. And then it's, well, can you add in a process? Can you add in some issues? Can you add in? And it just snowballs into this absolutely huge COP. Then you have to go, wait a minute, time out. Maybe I need to re-architect that. Maybe I have to make a phone call to Auros and say, hey, wait a minute, these guys are getting crazy on me. We work together as a partnership to get these done, but a lot of the time it's awareness that they don't know a COP exists. So once I point them in the right direction to the COP that exists, then they work with that COP owner, and a lot of the data just flows in together. And then we find the duplicates, and we start weeding out the duplicates. And it's just been me kind of in the last few months that I've taken it over. I'm the one that decides. But I have I grill them. I got to know why what they're doing and why they're doing it. Make sure it makes sense to do it. And a lot of times I do have a bit of a template that I do follow.
And we'll ultimately challenge them as far as what is the intent of the COP, what are you using, have you actually investigated whether or not there's another COP, to Holly's point, that may be a better fit? So it's on us as the expert team to determine whether a new COP is needed, or is there an existing one that has a purpose.
Yeah, I just have a comment, observation on General Motors. Holly mentioned security of the data and who gets to see it. It's not just a big Google search. Like you said, you have 98,000 K-PACs and like 1,800 COPs. There are so many different ways at a very granular level or a high level to grant access to things, to different assets, at a project level, at a COP level, at a K-PAC level, at a project. And General Motors uses combinations of all of those in conjunction with user types. So if you have an issue or you're trying to figure out how to keep your data secure, I would highly suggest reaching out, in one of the networking times and talking to someone from General Motors about how they set that up, because they use just every combination available within Auros to lock down data in different ways. They have the supplier portal, but they actually have outside users coming into their instance of Auros, which requires different security measures, right? So whatever your use case is, they probably have something already that's set up with that type of security and could give you some advice on it.
Do you have a separate community of practice to manage your global parameters?
I don't think so at this point.
We do not at this time. We started down that path, and then because early on the different requirements from these different silos, we kind of moved away from that. But we've learned subsequently that that's probably a good way to go, and we need to start revisiting that. But there was a point at which we let things get a little bit out of control, and like I mentioned before, it was anarchy. Everyone wanted something specific their way and only their way, and Holly knows that caused problems, and so we're starting to rein that in.
I'm curious how much of an improvement it would make for your business to have additional functionality around communities being discoverable to users, so them being able to search and find communities that might be relevant to them. And or, we talked about learning cycles earlier for K-PACs and for issues, learning cycles around communities where it's running, the system is surfacing insights for you on communities that are, redundant or very similar or in conflict with each other and things like that.
Oh yeah, that would be very exciting. And I know Nicole back there's just itching for that.
We definitely see the benefits of that. I mean, with some of the new features and things that are coming down the pipeline here, it's definitely going to benefit GM. Agree.
Kara has inside information on this.
I know.
That's why she asked. And she knows it. For me personally, that's an important improvement that we're going to make to the product, to make communities more discoverable through organic means, not by people searching, but people just being able to discover the discovery that a community exists of their interests without them even knowing that they need to search first. Okay, so that's our objective.
Yeah. And Jeff, that is a great point, because all of us that are here from General Motors, that's one of the things that the general users, I mean, you heard how many people are in the system or use the system. That is the biggest struggle. That's the biggest feedback that we hear is, how do I find this information? How do I get to it? How do I know it even exists? So some of these new features that are going to be coming out are going to be perfect to address a lot of those concerns.
Just moving to 22 is going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, I just had an example, and I won't go into specifics, but I knew there was a requirement, and it was in this document, not in Auros. I knew it was there, never got rolled down to our document, so therefore it never got put into our KPAC set. And then I started researching it, and this was sort of like what you were talking about. It wasn't 32 hours, but it was about 10 of just salad, calling people, talking to people, doing this, and I found somebody that had, oh, I just developed this document, and it's going to be going through draft, and I have no idea where the hell it's going to be living. No. So it's like, I call it going down the rabbit hole. That's what I call it, because I don't know what I'm going to find at the end, because I know the requirement. I just don't know where it lives, you know? So like I said, this AI and searching and stuff is just very exciting for me, because I've gone down the rabbit holes so many times, and I've discovered so many new information, because there's so much information in GM, and it's in so many different locations. And so it's, I'll reiterate, the anarchy and chaos of all of the requirements within our organization. Now, we're airing our dirty laundry here, but, you know, I mean, it's just, we're so large, we're so big, we've been around for so long. You've got so many different requirements, and then we're including all new technology now and stuff. So it's just, it's exciting, but at the same time, frustrating, overwhelming. So, yeah. So anyway, so hope that sort of answers your question.
We're almost coming to the next session. But
Yes.
indulge me just a second, because, and you've been so kind to indulge me so far, so thank you. But one last, or maybe not the last, but an indulgement here. So one, there's an irony in the use of Auros. We have a couple reasons why people don't adopt. Fundamentally, they don't understand what the difference is. It's hard to get your mind around model-based cognition until you do. The second, but just equally is a big reason why people don't adopt, is they're afraid that Auros is introducing a new component to the IT portfolio that engineers have to use. How many people would agree that that's usually a reason why companies don't want to take a new technology? Okay? So here's the ultimate irony. Consider this. They have 1,800 communities that represent probably at least 500 unique business process solutions. Okay, there were 0 lines of code written for all of these to be implemented. It took hard work by Holly and Mike and Nicole and Daryl to do this. But they're no-code solutions, right? And they all share a data bus. They all share an infrastructure. They all can get to Team Center. They can all get to NX. They can all do this. So the irony is that GM wound up not, this is my assertion, and I've had past GM people confirm this, GM has not purchased multitudes of IT solutions because they could go directly to Auros. But yet people don't want to take Auros because it's a new IT system, right? It is the pathway, it is a pathway to reduce IT portfolio complexity. Clearly proven it is. Getting people to believe it, even though that it's the truth, they're two different things. So a value proposition for Auros that I want you all to walk out of here knowing is the reduction and the simplification of IT portfolio, because it'll reduce or create or stop you from buying other point solutions, because you can build your solution with model-based cognition.
Can I add on to what Jeff just said? So before my current role, I was working with IT, and we were using Auros as a back end to IT. And so we had a tool that did some criteria checks. So in some of the applications, those checks were hard-coded. And then we moved to using Auros as a back end and leveraging the knowledge processing engine to do that task. So now the owner of the data can go in, edit that KPAC, change the criteria of those checks, and without any code or anything from IT compiling anything, it's immediately taken and it's updated. And so that saved a whole lot of code, a whole lot of programming and updates to programming and maintaining applications just by switching to this system as a back end.
We can roll Auros independently at GM as long as we don't have any showstoppers or anything, which we don't. That flexibility, it's literally turn it on the next day. We don't have to wait for different events, you know, that happen once a year, twice a year. So we don't lose out on 6 months or a year. We just go live. So that's very important too. I don't have to wait for IT to build something. I just build it right out.
Any other questions for Holly or the GM team in general?
We are a
They're here.
team.
All right. Thanks so much, Holly. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.